So, Huzur, a few weeks back, probably you have noticed in some of the dailies that some Scottish scientists, they have been able to do some genetic cloning to develop a special breed of sheep. And the scientists worked on that, and some of them are in the view that in future also they will be able to produce a special breed of human being.
Yes.
So my question is that if it is possible in future, what it will be considered from religious point of view?
My first answer is that thank God I am not born in that future. Already we have suffered enough at such scientific experimentations with the creation of God. And we do not fully realize what we are doing. I can quote scientific evidence against this, well-established scientific evidence, that when we play with synthesis of things which can interfere with the creation of God, we are really asking for trouble, and sometimes very big trouble, because our knowledge is limited and our experience with the synthetic drugs is non-existent. Unfortunately, the pharmaceutical industry as well as other concomitant industry which relates to improvement of man's life here on earth is a wild experimentation with new chemicals which can backfire, which can destroy the very peace for which, in the name of which these experimentations are promoted. I draw your attention to many such drugs which were supposed to bring peace of mind, like AT1 and some others. And later on it was discovered that those drugs created more madness in man than bring calm to him. Because when through suppression you are provided with a sort of peace, it in fact is a blind addiction to that drug which has to be increased gradually. When it increases, it has its other effects which scientists had not known before, because they had not been using them in such high dosages. The result was that the latent effects of the same drugs surface and they begin to punish the person who sought refuge under the canopy of their forgetfulness they create. Now this is only one single case, but a research was carried out in this area alone in America, which was published under the title Mind Control. And this research was carried out by very high-level scientists who were widely respected. And the outcome of that research was that most of our research in the area of drugs which alleviate pain and suffering are an exercise of producing madness in the country and greater suffering, much greater suffering than they can ever alleviate. There are other drugs which you know very well have been brought to the limelight because of the effect they produced on the embryo of a pregnant mother. Nobody knew what was happening inside until deformed babies began to be born. It was too late. Researchers later on disclosed that this was done under that and that drug. Now there are new diseases being added to the already large paraphernalia of diseasing with which we have to cope. How many of those are man-made and how many are a natural, gradual evolutionary result of a natural gradual evolutionary process. We don't know. But we know for certain that many of them can definitely be man-made. Scientists, modern scientists, or the drug mafia or the pharmaceutical mafia can be blamed for those drugs very squarely, but it seldom reaches a point of evidence, a degree of evidence where it can be proved in courts. Most often, we don't realize what is happening to us. We are addicted to tin foods and preservations of food and this and that, which we go on feeding our generations with and making them addict to such foods. What may happen in the future, only future will tell. But occasionally, from our past lack of caution in accepting these new methods of preservations, etc., we begin to suffer in the present. But that is not all that is in store for us. And what do we gain in the bargain? Larger eggs, larger apples, larger pears, all empty of taste and fragrance. Compare them with the same grown in the fields of such farmers where they commit themselves not to use artificial manuring, etc., and see the difference. I can tell you from my own personal experience, I traveled far and wide in America, and wherever my hosts, especially took care to please me with large baskets of fruits. Until I had seen them directly with my own eyes, I did not know that they were present in the same room which I occupied. They had to be seen, lying there on the table. There was no aroma, no fragrance, no pleasant smell which excites your appetite for them. When you ate them, they were just insipid and without the natural taste. But if you go to a farmer who grows the same fruits entirely with the natural manures, there is a difference of antipodes, east and west, between the quality of the two. So why not eat less? Why overfeed yourself with inflated food articles and overmuch stuffed with artificial things? They have their own problems again, of obesity, for instance. I've seen obesity striking at Americans at such dimensions that it was unbelievable. I was sitting once with my family in a Mexican restaurant, and we saw two ladies occupy the chairs, and they seemed to be sitting on the small edges of the chairs. Much of them overflowed. And the amount of food they consumed, unbelievable. This is the new trend in America. Eat and eat and eat and continuously go on eating. You can't find an American idle nowadays, but he must continue to eat constantly. With what results? And this rubbish, this does not do any good to the human values and qualities and the real pleasures. So I am against all such measures which we have not learned through a long historical process. Conventional measures and methods have been learned by us through long historical experiences and processes, and we have already paid the price of our follies in the past. Now we can play safe with them. But if you permit such such interference into the nature, like through, for instance, genetic engineering, you don't know what you're in for. Already it has been established beyond a shadow of doubt in America that what the scientists predicted, the outcome of an experiment of transferring one gene from one animal to the chromosome of another, proved disastrous because the resultant animal was absolutely different from what could be calculated. So if this is genetic engineering, a day may come when we become enslaved by our own productions and our own creations. So I advise grave caution in that area. Thank you.